Now with training at the moment, I'm doing quite a lot of cycling just because of the long course, weighting towards being on the bike, and obviously the most amount of time is spent on the bike during the race. I just need to be better at cycling so that I can get onto the run as fresh as possible and be able to deliver a run that's competitive. That's just fact. So yeah, I'm just spending a lot of time on the bike at the moment, whether it be indoors or outdoors, and I just thought I'd just talk through that quickly and let you know my thoughts and opinions on what I'm experiencing during that time. I've had a bit of a reflection about being on the bike and some thoughts recently, especially whilst on the bike, about how beneficial cycling has been to just everything in terms of mental clarity, thinking, talking, being social, and being a well-balanced athlete in and around the sport as well. So I think I'm going to try and attempt my first ever 100-mile ride. The course is currently 97 miles, I think it is, so I'd have to tack on a little bit, which is going to be really hard at the end of the ride, so we'll see how it goes. Got about 4.5 hours to try and do it, hoping it goes a bit faster than a road bike. But cycling is definitely where I do most of my thinking, whether that be indoors or outdoors. If it's indoors, I'm sat on the turbo, I'm watching the TV, whether it be YouTube or something else, and I'm making notes on my phone. If it's a video tutorial on YouTube or anything to do with the business, this, that and the other, whether it be coaching methodologies or how I'm training, reflection on training, this, that and the other. That's amazing for like just reflection of what's going on in and around me. I've barely gotten 5 minutes in and my water bottle's popped out. So I've got a new water bottle, just went over a bump and it came out straight away. So what I've done, I don't know if you can see, I've chucked a little shot block in there, and I'm hoping that just secures it in there a little bit tighter. Just a little lowdown on what I'm doing is I'm cycling east towards a party that Emily and I are going to. Obviously not intending on having a massive day or anything like that. It's more just a case of having a nice time, chill it out, and yeah, just making the most of riding somewhere different and being somewhere different, but also relaxing and having a nice time elsewhere. Not only that, when I'm out on the bike with a group, it's fantastic just for airing thoughts and opinions, talking your thoughts, having like a discussion together about lots of different things. We tend to talk a lot about training, but not just about that. General life as well. It's a bit of a mental therapy, if you will, just because if we're down, it's a really exposed position to be in, because by the end of the ride or halfway through the ride, you're getting a little bit tired, your defenses are probably down, and especially if something's getting to you, you open up to it, or about it, should I say, to your friends. Because at the end of the day, you're spending God knows how many hours with these guys, and they know you really well. So if you aren't feeling great, they can usually tell, and they tend to coax it out of you, especially if they're good friends. So I know that I can bank on my friends to kind of coax something out of me if they can tell that I'm not quite right. This doesn't happen very often, but it's always a safe place to be able to like discuss things and know that you can just talk for hours and hours on end, feel loads better about it, and by the end of it, you haven't got a clue what you've spoken about, because you come home and I try and tell Emily like, oh, we've spoken about this, this and this, but I haven't got a flipping clue. I get back and I'm like, oh, what did we talk about for 4 hours non-stop? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, like, as long as you're airing what you need to air, you're thinking about things, it does sink in. Like, if you can't recall it straight away when you get back from a ride, that doesn't matter. It's more of a case of you've had those thoughts, you've spoken to someone about those thoughts, and if it's a case of just mental clarity or just having a bit of therapy, you always, or at least I do, I always feel better after that ride. I'm going to call this weather suboptimal. The roads are absolutely soaked, and commute is taking me on a pretty average loop, I'd say. It's so bumpy and hilly, and it's just like all the B roads essentially, which are pretty slow, and I was kind of hoping for maybe some A roads and just like get your head down and go for it. So a bit frustrating in that. That's my poor planning though. Can't really blame commute for that. But yeah, no, the water bottle thing seems to be working. The back water bottle, however, keeps like popping up a little bit, so I have to keep putting it down. Any recommendations for that is highly appreciated. Funny story about the last time that I tried to ride towards an event. I was riding along, similar sort of scenario. The road surfaces were not ideal, so I ended up putting it into my GPS on my phone and changed it to a car. And of course, like, I thought that would be a little bit faster. So off I went on my road bike and ended up on some pretty big roads, and I was just like, it's quite busy here. Don't really know if this is quite for me. Anyway, started getting some horns and some beeps and some pretty big cars passing by, and I was like, yeah, it's a bit sketchy now. I was like at the side of the road, just like head down, bum up, on an old Cannondale road bike. Anyway, I'll continue a bit later on, but now we're talking. Like I said, I'm spending a lot of time on the bike at the moment, and I don't feel as though it's a hardship in the slightest, especially when it's nice weather. Like, I've just done that long ride on my TT bike on my own. I was listening to podcasts, I was having thoughts, I was thinking about what was being said in the podcast, I was applying it to my life and trying to like better the business, better my training, and just try and like do better and be better in the things that are going on around my life, and thinking about how to do that. I mean, maybe that's just me, but I think that everyone has an element or an essence of that with the training that they do and the people that they surround themselves with. We all surround ourselves with people that are like-minded, and I just think it's great to be able to just discuss those things and have a bit of, I don't know, time, space, air to just relax and shoot the breeze. Okay, so back to the story. I was pretty scared at this point, just getting my head down. I'd been out the night before, so it was a case of I was quite dehydrated, quite tired, and just trying to crack on with this ride and get to the party on time. Anyway, plugging away, and there was these banners like above me with some words on, and I was like looking up at them, and it said pedestrian on motorway. I was like, what idiot is walking on the motorway? And by this point, obviously, I'd realised that I was cycling on the motorway. So anyway, I decided that it was time to get off. I was going to take the next slip, but of course, when you're on a bike, you realise how far it is between each kind of junction or each intersection. So anyway, I carried on, head down, and kept seeing these banners, pedestrian motorway. I was like, fucking idiot. Anyway, time went by, and all of a sudden, there were these flashing lights, and like some people pulled in front of me, and I was like, ah, crap, traffic officers. They pulled me over, and I stopped. And they were like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? I'm from Guernsey. I wasn't sure what was going on. Anyway, they were like, you're not allowed to ride on the motorway. I bundled my stuff into the back of their car, and they dropped me off at the next services. Luckily, I'd phoned my friends, and they were then on the way to those services because they were behind me, and they managed to come pick me up. Funny story, I will not be riding on the motorway again. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this extra time on the bike. I definitely do not see it as a hardship whatsoever. Hopefully, it's doing the right thing in terms of training as well. I mean, that's the aim, right? I'm aiming to be a better cyclist. I'm aiming to be a better triathlete, so that I can race at the pointy end of the field. And yeah, I'm hoping that comes to fruition in Dresden 70.3 Ironman branded event, with obviously the ultimate aim of getting to the World Championships. And yeah, like if I can do that with a good mental state as well, because of the training and because of the things that I'm doing in and around that, perfect. What more could you want? I do think that training, even if you're an age grouper, is so good for mental clarity. Like even if it's just to escape from the workplace and get some clear space and time away from the office. It's just so good for that. I know that a load of the people that we coach with Entire are getting a load of mental clarity just from doing a little bit of training before or after work, and getting that balance right between work life and social is really, really important. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping that it does come to fruition in the next couple of weeks. Next few races, 70.3 Dresden, Outlaw X I'm doing, and also Ironman Portugal 70.3, all 70.3s. So yeah, look forward to putting it to the test, and I'll see you next time.
First time that I've been out on the TT bike for months and months. Should I be out on the TT bike? Controversial opinion. Yes, I think you can go out on your TT bike. There's been a big topic on it in the past few years. A lot of crashes, and I think you just have to be sensible. You have to be careful. Don't be down on the flipping skis going through towns at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Just nice big open roads, and get down an aero and look ahead. Don't put your flipping head down, and don't look. That's so stupid. But yeah, no, it's quite good fun though, as long as you're sensible.